What's good, my squids? It's been a minute. Today, I'm talking about Fat Don't Fly. The program is officially released, but I want to give you a little bit of a backstory on how I came up with the protocol. Initially, how I did on the Fat Don't Fly protocol. I went through the 8-week program, and guess what, guys? I'm not as fat as I was after my honeymoon, so that's a good sign. I'm going to talk about my results, and I'm going to talk about sort of what you can expect on the program. Let's get this work.
You're listening to the PJF Podcast, a show dedicated to decoding elite sports performance and fitness. I'm Paul Fabritz, and I'm an MBA strength and conditioning and performance trainer. If you want to become superhuman, take your fitness, and take your sports performance to the next level, this is the podcast for you. Let's do it.
My Squidwards, hope you guys are doing well. It's been a minute. I haven't done a podcast in a while. Life has been crazy. I think it's been crazy for everybody. 2020 is just something that nobody could have expected. As a lot of you guys know, I did release the Fat Don't Fly program. And guess what? I'm not fat anymore. I came on the podcast. I don't know what episode it was, but I came on. I told the Squiddies, I'm out of shape. I'm heavier than I've ever been. What I'm going to do is get in the best shape of my life, and I'm going to document it. Then 2020 hit. So I got back from my honeymoon, and we stayed at all-inclusive resorts, which if you're cheap like me and you stay at an all-inclusive resort, you're going to get your money's worth. So you're going to eat all day, every day, because you paid for it. And so I got fat and out of shape over 15-day period of just stuffing my face with probably 4 times the amount of calories that I needed. I got back, and then we were moving into the house, and we had a million projects going on, and I was building out the gym at the house. I had so much going on that I ended up not starting. So I told you guys on the podcast, I'm going to start this. I'm going to document it. I didn't end up starting it right away because we had a million things going on. And then a global pandemic hit. Coronavirus hit. And so then we were dealing with that and gym closures and a million things. So I didn't start for a while, and the pounds kept on adding up. So I was well into the 200s, which at 5'10", it's not great. If you're an elite athlete, it's not good to be over 200 pounds if you're 5'10", at least if you're trying to jump high and run fast. So I put it off for a while, but then I said, you know what, eventually 2020 is not going to get easier. Stuff's going to keep getting crazier. At some point, I just got to carve the time out of my schedule. I might have to take a couple less clients and free up my schedule so that I can take care of my health and my well-being. Now, I've had this Fat Don't Fly protocol for a really long time. I never called it Fat Don't Fly. The reason Fat Don't Fly became a thing is because I went on the Mind Pump Media podcast, which is a big fitness podcast, and somehow the topic came up, and I was talking about fat loss, and I said, Fat Don't Fly, and they loved it. They're like, that's got to be a t-shirt. And I was like, you know what? That is a good name, and that is exactly what I tell every client who needs to lose fat. I say, Fat Don't Fly, just because it helps athletes conceptualize how important it is to be lean. Because when it comes to jumping high and running faster, probably the number one priority is body composition. Doesn't matter what your rate of force development and all the elasticity, all these things that we usually obsess over. Doesn't matter how good these things are. If we're overweight, we're not going to be able to actually express these qualities. And so anyways, that's how that name came about, the Fat Don't Fly. And then I paired it with this protocol that I've actually had for a long time. When an NBA player comes to me or an NFL player comes to me and they're like, look, I'm out of shape, I'm overweight, I got 8 to 12 weeks to get in shape and get my body composition right before camp, this is the protocol that I go with. It's basically 6 days a week. We start with 3 full body sessions, and then the alternative days, or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, is core, movement quality, and a low intensity cardio for recovery. So then you have your Monday, Wednesday, Friday that are your full body, higher intensity days, zone 5 heart rate cardio or zone 4 heart rate cardio. We keep that schedule for phase 1 and 2, which are both 2 weeks. So that first month, we keep that schedule. And then in the second half of the program, the last 4 weeks, we move into an upper-lower split. We change up the cardio a little bit. We train multiple zones in the heart rate. And throughout the program, we're prioritizing relative strength. So the whole thing is like athletes are coming to me to lose fat. So this is very different than like a fat loss program. Anybody can cut calories and go do cardio and technically lose fat. They're not doing it the right way because that weight will come back because they compromise their metabolism. But when athletes are coming to me, they're getting lean in order to jump higher, in order to run faster, to go further, to go longer, to feel better, to take stress off their knees. And so the protocol is very, very different than it would be if you went and lost fat with just like a general fitness approach, right? So the priority of our 8-week program is improving relative strength. So I want you to improve force output while getting lean. And that is the guaranteed way to jump higher and to run faster, is to get lighter while maintaining muscle mass, maintaining or improving force production. That's the guaranteed way to get more athletic. So I had always implemented this protocol when somebody's coming to me right before camp and they got to get in really good shape and they got to look good for camp and also perform better. And I never thought about really releasing it. But then once I started this protocol, I started to realize, look, I think a lot of people that are on our online programs actually need this more than maybe our Vert Code programs. Now, for some people who already have the perfect physique, their body composition is good, they have good relative strength, they have muscle mass, they have really low fat, typically under 10% body fat, then the Vert Code is the best for them. But I do think that a lot of our online members would actually get better results by first going through this 8-week protocol and really getting lean, getting that body composition right, and then going into like a Vert Code or a Vert Code Elite program. So for me, for example, I'd been doing minimal dose Vert Code because I'm so busy, I can't do the whole program. But I basically do the Vert Code Elite and I just constantly cycle through it. I switch up some things, but typically I'm getting in, 30-minute workouts. So a normal workout might be an hour 15. I'm only doing 30 minutes. So I'm just doing the most important exercises and I'm cutting out the rest because I'm so busy. And also because I'm not about necessarily elite performance anymore. I just want to maintain my 40-inch vertical and stay healthy. That's all I really care about. So I had been doing minimum dose, but I wasn't necessarily watching my diet very much. And so always I was floating maybe 5 to 10 pounds heavier than my optimal jumping weight. And then after this honeymoon and coronavirus and moving into the house, I was floating like 20, 25 pounds above my optimal jumping weight. So for me, eventually I came to the realization that, look, if I'm doing the Vert Code, I can make 1% improvements because, with somebody with a high training age, if they grind, maybe they can improve elasticity a little bit. They can improve rate of force development. Like there's some things that we can improve, but for somebody who's been training for, 20 years now, working on my vertical for 20 straight years, we're talking law of diminishing returns. And so you're improving by 1% here and 1% there. But with Fat Don't Fly, when you get lean, you make huge improvements. So by the end of the 8 weeks, I had lost 15 pounds of fat and I improved my peak relative force production by 10%. And my braking force, so how I put on the brakes at the bottom of the jump, I improved that by over 20%. So there's no other training method that I would have been able to do to make that big of a leap. And that led to an extra 6 inches on my vertical in 8 weeks. We're talking about somebody with a training age of 20 years who improved his vertical by 6 inches. I mean, that's insane. And I've seen this in NBA players and NFL players, very similar results to what I got, because when you're fat, you just don't fly. It doesn't matter how good your physiology is. It doesn't matter your fiber type and your elasticity, and all of these things could be perfect, but you just have too much weight to lift off the ground. And so the Fat Don't Fly protocol worked wonders for me. So about halfway through the program, maybe I was week 4 or 5, I just started feeling so good. I started feeling light. My relative strength was good. My explosiveness was back. My elasticity, everything felt really, really good, all because I was getting lean. I was getting back to my normal, natural jumping weight. And I realized, look, I got to put this out. So I called my videographer. I said, Calvin, we need to do this program. And normally, like Vert Code Elite probably took me 2 straight years of filming. I think probably every day between the programming and the filming and the editing, everything that we did, it's probably a 2-year process. When I put out programs, it's not like a lot of trainers who are just like, yeah, write it down on a piece of paper, do a quick demo, put it out. I go in depth with every exercise, and I teach it at the same level, actually beyond the level that I would teach it in person. And so our videos are extremely detailed and well edited, and everything is professional. And so I said, look, we got to get out this program, and I want to do it fast. I don't want to have to take 2 years. So Calvin actually moved in with me through coronavirus. He's lived here for probably the last 6 months or so. And we just locked in every single day, filming. So we got the program out. Most people are on week 1. Some people are on week 2 right now. I had finished my 8 weeks, but I'm going back and I'm doing it again because I would like to lose another 5 pounds. I went from just above 200 pounds down to 185. The other day I was 183. I haven't been 183 in a long time. And let me tell you guys, you've probably seen the hints on my Instagram. I haven't talked a lot about my performance right now, but I think you guys have picked up on the clues based on what you've seen me do. The other day I jumped a 46-inch hurdle straight leg, which I've never done before. Now, when I was in my prime, early 20s, I never tried a straight leg hurdle. But as of, 2 years ago, a year ago, when I went to straight leg, I was barely getting 40 inches. I would usually trip over the 40-inch hurdle. And the other day I went out and hit a 46-inch straight leg jump. I got my one leg bounce back. I've been trying not to jump a lot lately because I'm on an outdoor court. I haven't had access to the indoor court, and I'm terrified of jumping outside because so many people slip. So I've been trying not to do that, but I was filming a video. I was doing like a little demo on finishes, and I just noticed that off one leg, I was just floating, and I was just getting up and just setting the ball in, and then I started turning it over and dunking it, and then I started cocking back and dunking it hard. Then I started doing 2-hand back dunks off one leg, which I've never had. And I just realized how effortless I was jumping, because when you're light, but you're still strong and elastic, it makes everything feel so much more effortless. And so my 2-foot bounce is up, but what I noticed the most was that 1-foot bounce. The other thing that I noticed is just joint health. I feel like going through the Vert Code for the last couple years has been very good for my joints, just bulletproofing my knees. But when you're overweight, even when your joints are really strong and you're constantly jumping and landing, you're going to add excess stress to your joints. So my volume has always been cut down, just because I know, hey, if I'm not at my optimal jumping weight, I shouldn't be at my optimal jumping volume. I should also be cutting back because I don't want to put too much excess stress on my knees. But now that I'm in the low to mid 180s, I've noticed that I can take my jumping volume back up. And now when I go out and do plyos, I feel like I can just keep going. Now I got to put the brakes on myself and stop myself, but I feel like I can keep going. The other day, I casually, you probably saw this on Instagram, I casually jumped off my trampoline over the net. I was probably 10 feet up in the air, landed on the ground, not on the trampoline. I landed on the ground, and then did a depth jump and jumped off the floor as soon as I landed, and probably got up another 30 inches. And just the amount of force that I landed with, I mean, if you land with a normal jump with 7 times body weight, it could have been 20 times my body weight in force that I was landing with. And I just absorbed it so well. I went back and I did it again 3 times in a row. You guys saw one on Instagram. I did that 3 times in a row and then walked off with no knee pain. The next day, I didn't have any soreness in the patellar tendon. My knees felt great. I went and trained the next day. And I would have never been able to do that if I was still up around 200 pounds. So for me, it worked wonders. I feel better. I move better. I feel healthier. I jump way higher. I run way faster. And so the 8-week program was such a success for me. Now I'm going to go back and do it again and see if I can get down to like 180 while still staying strong. But the thing with the Fat Don't Fly protocol is we only get lean if it's done the right way. It's not like, hey, just go lose 15 pounds in 8 weeks at all costs. Because the truth is, if you go in a caloric deficit You could eat Snickers at every single meal and not train once and still lose 15 pounds of fat in 8 weeks. Very possible. Caloric deficit, that's what matters. But that's the wrong way to do it, because yes, you lost 15 pounds of fat, but you also lost muscle along with it. Now you compromise your metabolism. Now you're probably skinny fat. You're a smaller version of what you used to be, but your force production is down. And so now you actually don't jump as high as you did at the heavier weight because you lost that high quality muscle mass. Now you compromise your metabolism. Now, once you're not able to constantly eat at that deficit, which everybody gets to that point where you go back to neutral calories or a slight caloric surplus, you go and cheat on your diet for 3 days, all of a sudden it starts to come back. But not only does that weight come back, you actually gain more on the back end. And this is the constant roller coaster that America is on, is we get lean, but we do it the wrong way. We do it in ways that compromise our metabolism. We get skinny fat and then we gain it all back on the back end. Now, the Fat Don't Fly protocol, we only get lean the right way. We do it by prioritizing full body strength. We do it by minor caloric deficits. Now, we have this whole nutrition guide. We have the PJF nutrition code, which is the final step. That's the step up, which you can upgrade once you're in the program. But we have a free nutrition guide with Dr. Bubbs, who is a world-renowned nutritionist for Canada men's basketball, worked with a lot of professional athletes. He has the book called Peak, which is an awesome book about sports nutrition, but he really breaks it down to very simple steps. These are the macronutrients that we need. This is how we're going to do it. This is the caloric deficit that we need. And the thing that he preaches in the nutrition guide is we want small caloric deficits, very, very minor caloric deficits. We want to eat as many calories as we can while still losing 1 to 2 pounds of fat per week. And that's going to be slightly different based on how much fat we have to lose. But again, in 8 weeks, I lost 15 pounds. So I lost at the right rate. And again, I was able to build muscle during this process. I was able to increase my force production. If I did it how most of America does it, and they just go in a huge caloric deficit, and maybe they go out and do cardio or circuit style weight training, and they don't get stronger in the process, then I could have lost the same amount of fat or even more fat, but I would have gained it all back. So that's the thing with the Fat Don't Fly protocol, is we want this to be long-term. It's an initial 8 weeks that sets you up for the rest of your life. Now, in this 8 weeks, will you be lean for life? Of course not. That's not how it works. When we make gains, we're always borrowing from our physiology. Nothing is permanent. You don't buy the house, you rent the house, and you got to pay rent every single month. And that's the same thing with working out, right? With fat loss. Your brain wants to get you back to where you were before. Your brain would rather you be fat because that's protective. If you never have a meal again, you get to survive longer. So that's the right survival mechanism, your brain wanting you to get back to where you were before. So if you just did the 8-week program and you got lean and you felt good and then you stopped training, the weight is going to come back. Now, you would keep the gains for longer, right? So it might be another couple months before that weight really comes back, because in that process of losing weight, since we did it the right way, our metabolism's in a good place. But at some point, you're going to detrain and go back. And so after this 8 weeks, you have to continue with the similar protocol. So you can either redo the Fat Don't Fly, or you can go into the Vertco or whatever workout you want to do after the Fat Don't Fly program. Obviously, you got to keep up with the exercise and with the diet to stay lean long term. But you think of this initial 8-week period as your Kickstarter, where let's lose the weight. Let's get down to that ideal weight, and then let's maintain that, because now when we're at an optimal weight, when our physique is good and we have muscle mass and we stripped off fat, now we can think about, okay, rate of force development and elasticity. And now when we attack those qualities, our results are that much better. So if you're ready to take that next step and start with us training on the Fat Don't Fly program, just go to pjfperformance.net. You hit the drop-down menu for training, and then you select Fat Don't Fly. We have an early bird special going on right now where it's going to get you a huge discount. Now, before you start the program, take before pictures, okay? Take your pictures right now and test your vertical and document it. Film the vertical. Write down your numbers. Do your max approach vertical. Do your standing vertical. Take your weight. Take your body fat percentage if possible. Because after the 8 weeks, you're going to redo it again. One, it's accountability for you, knowing that you're going to have to go back and take a picture and you're going to have to stare your results in the face. So one, it's accountability. But two, I want you guys to send me your transformation because we're going to have different competitions. I might do 2 to 3 per year where we take the top 3 winners from the first 8 weeks, second 8 weeks, and third 8 weeks, right? So each 8 weeks is going to have 3 winners. And we're going to have huge cash prizes. Not only will we have big cash prizes, we're also going to have exclusive gear giveaways, stuff that I don't even sell, stuff that's been out of stock for a long time. We're going to have gear for you. We're probably going to have some Adidas shoes. So we're going to have some really good giveaways for the biggest transformations. And I'm not just judging it off the amount of weight lost. It's going to be the amount of weight lost, but how you look before, how you look after. So visibly the transformation, but also I'm going to keep in mind the vertical transformation. How is your athleticism now versus how it was before? Because at the end of the day, this program is an athleticism program. We're just attacking physique to improve athleticism. So I'm looking at the combination of physique and athleticism transformations. So be sure to document the whole thing. Until next time, I'm out.